What is going on, everyone? Mets Talk with Hayden J here. Let's just make sure the volume sounds clear. What is going Mets Talk? All right, the audio sounds pretty clear on my end. What is going on, everyone? Mets Talk with Hayden J here. What's going on, everyone? I hope we're all doing extremely well. And hey, why not? The New York Mets took 4 out of 5 from the Atlanta Braves. This was a phenomenal series, huge, very important series, and the Mets made all Mets fans go home happy unless you went to the second game. Otherwise, no complaints there. So before we get started, everyone, in today's stream, we are going to be going over the New York Mets and the Atlanta Braves series summary. We're going to be summarizing that, recapping that, going over everything I liked, didn't like, all that great stuff. Then we're going to be transitioning into the New York Mets and the Cincinnati Reds series preview. We got a big series coming up once again that the Mets are looking like favorites to win, even sweep. So we'll get into that. We'll get into all of your guys' comments, questions, concerns. If you have anything in the chat, don't hesitate. Drop it below. Doesn't matter if you're a Mets fan, a Nationals fan, a Brewers fan, a Guardians fan, whatever. If you like baseball, drop any comments, questions, and concerns, and we will get started into that. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. Before we dive into the series analysis, everyone, please smash that like button, turn on those post notifications or that ring bell, whatever you want to call it, to never miss a stream or video. Subscribe, tell your friends about this channel. And once again, any comments, any questions, any concerns, drop it below. I am here to talk some great New York Mets and just baseball overall with you guys. Super exciting to discuss. So let's get into it. And this was a huge series for the New York Mets, obviously playing a 5-game set against the Atlanta Braves. The Atlanta Braves were very hot kind of coming into the series. So it was kind of really a hit or miss series for the Mets. I predicted that they would win 3 of 5, but they won 4 of 5. So let's dive into what happened, and let's get into Thursday's game. The New York Mets won that game by a score of 6-4. Obviously, Carlos Cookie Carrasco was on the bump for the New York Mets that day, and Carrasco looked really great. 6 innings, 4 hits, 3 runs, a walk, 6 strikeouts, 89 pitches overall, 63 of those were in the strike zone. Yeah, Carrasco did a really good job. I mean, going after this aggressive Atlanta Braves lineup. They're a team that we saw plenty of whiffs, plenty of swinging and misses. You always like to see that out of Carrasco. His fastball slider was looking on point. Braves lineup wasn't really getting a whole lot of hard contact against him. So you really like to see some things in that. Coming into relief, Adam Ottavino came in for 1 inning, 2 hits, a run, a strikeout. Made this game a little bit dicey, but he was able to get out clean. And then following that, the most intriguing and important thing that we have seen is Edwin Diaz came into the 8th inning. Obviously, the Atlanta Braves had the meat of the order coming in with Dansby Swanson, Matt Olson, and Austin Riley in the 8th inning. So Buck Showalter decided to go to his bullpen early on, and he decided that he was going to put Edwin Diaz in. And Diaz was phenomenal the 8th inning. He looked really good. But then came the concern of the 9th inning, and people were saying, do you put Lugo in? Do you put May in? Well, actually, May pitched the day before, so it's like, what do you do? So he went in for the 9th, and not surprising. We have never seen Edwin Diaz pitch 2 innings in relief. We've always seen him either pitch the 8th or just the 9th. We've never seen him gone the 8th or 9th together. So that was very impressive from Edwin Diaz to go 2 innings, only giving up a hit and 3 strikeouts. That was one lucky hit by Eddie Rosario, of course, with a high-end fastball, and Rosario just chased and was able to make some bat-to-ball contact to get on base. So, I mean, really elite outing from Edwin Diaz. We talk about how important Diaz has been. Really huge, to say for the least. So the pitching looked good. Getting into this offense, things started off early in the 1st inning. Pete Alonso on the first pitch had an RBI single to left to bring in Starling Marte. Heading on into the 2nd inning, Tyler Naquin, in his first game at Citi Field, hit a solo home run to right, 408 feet. In the 3rd inning, Pete Alonso had a 2-run homer to left, 412 feet, to bring in himself and Francisco Lindor. Following that at bat, Vogelbach decided to get in on some of the action, and Vogelbach pimped a homer to right, 379 feet. Going on into the 6th inning, Tyler Naquin decided to provide some more action. And Tyler Naquin with the 2nd home run on the day hit one to left field 374 feet. And that's really all she wrote for the offense for the most part. This offense looked pretty good. They got the job done. 6 runs, my apologies, 9 hits. You like to see that. Alonso going 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs. Vogelback 2 for 4 with an RBI. Lindor went 0 for 2, but did have 2 walks. Naquin 2 for 4, Mcneil 1 for 4. So really good to see the Mets offense really provide some depth this game. So Mets win game 1 by a score of 6-4. Carrasco with his 12th win on the year, and Edwin Diaz with his 24th save on the year. Getting into game 2, and it was not as great for the Mets. The Mets have their fair share of complexities with game 2, it seems, in all series around for them, and I don't know what it is. But getting into game 2, the New York Mets did not get this win and lost by a score of 9-6. Obviously, we had Taiwan Walker come in, and Walker got lit up. Only went 1 inning, 7 hits, 8 runs, 50 pitches. Only 30 of those were in the strike zone. Walker really got lit up this outing, and yeah, really unfortunate outing for Walker. What went wrong with him? Well, it's kind of hard to say. I mean, we saw like on the first pitch, he like kind of spiked his cleat, and at first I thought he hurt himself, but he like spiked his cleat, and you know he's a pretty big dude, Taiwan Walker. He's a big unit. I mean, he's a 6'5", 6'8", 250 250-pound plus dude. So yeah, I don't really know what happened with him exactly. Most likely he scraped his foot, and then that got to him. Maybe he should have came out of the game, but Buck Showalter left him in, and it just didn't show for success. I mean, contact after contact after contact, multiple home runs. Obviously, that's not adequate to see. So hopefully Walker could have a bigger outing next time. Really unfortunate to see him have an outing like this, to say for the least. We know how the second halves are for him. So hopefully he can be more consistent in his next outing. But following that, the bullpen came into relief and did a good job. Trevor Williams came into relief, 4 innings, 4 hits, a walk, 2 strikeouts, 52 pitches. Walker, a guy, this is his job, comes into outings, long relief, and he succeeded. Walker, no major complaints. Joely Rodriguez came in for an inning, a hit, 2 strikeouts, no complaints. Michael Givens came in for his first clean outing, an inning, only a walk, otherwise 3 ground ball outs. And then Tommy Hunter came in for 2 innings of relief, 2 hits, a run, 2 strikeouts. So pretty much to say for the least, the bullpen was, throwing a shutout until the 9th when Tommy Hunter gave up a solo shot. So unfortunate for the pitching, but good to see the bullpen really bounce back and try and show a message. In terms of this offense, it started off pretty quiet, but things picked up in the 5th inning in the later half of this game. But getting started in the 2nd inning, Brandon Nimmo had an RBI single to center to bring in Tyler Naquin. Joey Cora was a little aggressive and decided to throw Guillorme to go home from second. And on the arm, he was thrown out, but still counts as 1 RBI. And then going into the 5th inning, where the Mets picked up 5 runs in the 5th inning, or 4 runs, my apologies. In the 5th inning, Jeff Mcneil decided to have an RBI single to right to bring in Francisco Lindor. Darren Ruff had an RBI double to deep right, almost left the ballpark to bring in Jeff Mcneil and Pete Alonso. Eduardo Escobar decided to get in on some of the action. Escobar hasn't been playing a whole lot lately, so he decided to get in on some of the action. And Escobar had a RBI single to shallow left field to bring in Darren Ruff. You like to see that. And then in the 9th inning, to try and have a comeback, Jeff Mcneil had a solo homer to left center. That's really interesting because you don't see Jeff Mcneil hit for a lot of power. So, I mean, I'll take it. I know Mcneil is not a power hitter. That's been established, but good to see Mcneil with some power. I will say that ball was carrying, and I mean, balls were carrying for the most part that night. So really interesting to see, the Braves offense take advantage of that. But like I said, you score 6 runs, but the Braves were just able to outscore. In terms of this offense, you got 12 hits, 6 runs, and that's great. But, that first 2 innings for Taiwan Walker just really showed the message for this game. But in terms of this offense, I mean, Nimmo went 2 for 5. Alonso went 1 for 4 with a walk. Mcneil 2 for 5 with a walk. So, offense, everyone got a hit, but not able to drive in enough runs. So Mets lose this game. Walker gets the L. Getting into game 3, the New York Mets had much better luck in game 3 of game 1 of the doubleheader. Obviously, the New York Mets had David Peterson on the bump for the New York Mets, and Peterson with a phenomenal outing. I mean, arguably one of his better outings that he's had, and he's had pretty good outings this year, Peterson, and this was definitely a top-tier outing for David Peterson, to say for the least. Getting into David Peterson, he went 5 1/3 innings pitched, 3 hits, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts, 81 pitches, 48 of those from the strike zone. Yeah, Peterson did a really phenomenal job. He was throwing hard. We saw that he had his fastball at one point at 99 miles per hour, and usually Peterson is not a hard thrower. Peterson is a guy who doesn't really throw very hard for the most part, so really good to see him get very aggressive in times where we had runners on the corners, double play, get out of the inning. You know, that's a guy Peterson is. He can mix up his strikeouts and mix up some, light ground balls, and that's what Peterson did. And I mean, that's what you expect out of David Peterson. So very impressive outing from David Peterson. I really liked what we saw. Could have went for the rest of the 6th, but obviously it was a close ball game at the time, and he did walk the leadoff guy. So Showalter decided to go to his bullpen and decided to bring in Seth Lugo. And Lugo, 1 1/3 inning, 2 hits, 2 runs, a walk, 2 strikeouts. He was starting off good. He really was. The 5th inning in relief, he was good. Came into the 6th and gave up some base hits. So Lugo, he's really been a guy of concern this season. Hopefully he could figure himself out. Following that, Adam Ottavino came in. Ottavino, 1 1/3 innings pitched, 3 hits, 2 strikeouts. No major complaints, I guess, for him. Following that, Yohan Lopez came in, or Yohan Lopez. Lopez, why is this dude still on this roster? 1/3 of an inning, 4 hits, 3 runs. Comes into the 9th inning. It's not even a save situation. The goal is you shouldn't even have to put in Diaz because you have a big enough lead. Going into the 9th inning, it was, what was it, 8-2? It was 8-2. And then he gives up 3 runs. I mean, he gets 1 out and then just gives up 4 straight hits and then 3 runs. So obviously it becomes a save situation. So Buck Showalter then has to go to his bullpen and use Edwin Diaz. And Diaz came in for 2/3 of an inning and got a strikeout, 7 pitches. So listen, it was a clean outing for Diaz. I'm not worried. I just didn't really want to use him there. It would have been nice to give, Diaz, off. But like I said, Diaz came into relief and was able to get the job done. So good to see there. Yohan Lopez, probably going to be DFA'd soon or sent down for roster spot, and then they'll probably just send him away. I mean, I don't really think there's much of a need for him considering this is how he's been. I'd much rather Donis Medina, 100%. So, we'll see how things can go there for the rest of him this season. In terms of this offense, the offense looked pretty good for the most part. Very impressive from the offense. Loved what I saw there. In terms of this offense, getting things started, Pete Alonso in the 1st inning decided to provide some action, and Pete Alonso had an RBI single to right to bring in Starling Marte. Going after that, Daniel Vogelbach had an RBI single to right once again to bring in Francisco Lindor. Going on into the 3rd inning, Jeff McNeil had an RBI single to left to bring in Francisco Lindor. Going on into the 6th inning, Francisco Lindor had a deep RBI double to deep center to bring in Marte and Nimmo, and it was this close to being a homer. I mean, it literally just hit the orange padding. Lindor thought he had it. I thought he had it, but then after review play, you could tell it literally just hit the tippy top of the orange line. So, I mean, really unfortunate that he wasn't able to get the homer there, but hey, he drove in 2 runs and had a phenomenal game. In the 7th inning, James McCann had an RBI single to left to bring in Mark Canha. Never would have thought I would have said that in ever. Good to see McCann with some action. He definitely needed it. After that, Starling Marte had an RBI single to right to bring in Luis Guillorme. And then for the final run of this game, Francisco Lindor hit a sacrifice fly to center to bring in McCann. Also, another ball that was pretty close to being a home run was caught on the warning track. So good to see the Mets offense pounding 8 runs, 13 hits, taking advantage of the Braves' errors. Great game offensively for this team. Plenty of walks. 2 walks from Nimmo, a walk from Marte, a walk from Alonso, a walk from Vogelbach, a walk from McCann. I mean, the fact is you really were making Odorizzi really, really, really work. And you took advantage. Great plate discipline. They were walking. That's what you like to see. Let's get into Game 2 of the doubleheader and Game 4 of the series. And the New York Mets won it by a score of 6-2. We had Mad Max Scherzer on the bump for the Mets. Mets win this game by a score of 6-2. Scherzer, 7 innings, 4 hits, 0 walks, 0 runs, 11 strikeouts. Dominant outing from Mad Max Scherzer. I mean, I talk about a dominant outing. Phenomenal. I mean, very impressive outing from Scherzer. All of his stuff was intact. The Braves lineup was chasing at his back foot door slider, chasing at his fastball. This dude was just practically unhittable. Really loved what I saw out of Max Scherzer. It's outings like that you really rely on him. You needed him to give you plenty of depth, go 7-8 innings, because the bullpen, you don't want it to be overtaxed. And he said, no worries, I'll do that. 7 innings of relief. 108 pitches. I mean, he was pounding the strike zone incredibly well. Just overall, very impressive outing from Max Scherzer. I loved it. Following that, Michael Givens came in, an inning, 2 hits, and a run. Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about Givens a little bit more. And then obviously Trevor May came in. Trevor May, an inning, a hit, a run, strikeout. Gave up literally a solo shot on literally almost 1 strike to go. So I'm not going to, I'm not going to be all anal about it, but hopefully the Mets will have to address those, bullpen issues later on. So good to see Mets pitching really held down the fort. In terms of this offense, the offense was pretty good for the most part. In the 3rd inning, to get things started, Pete Alonso had an RBI single to right to bring in Tomas Nido for the first run of the game. Darren Ruff had a grounded out into a fielder's choice, which resulted in an RBI. Marte scored on the error, and then obviously Lindor also scored on that error, so good to see there. Following that, in the 6th inning, Mark Canha grounded out into a fielder's choice to bring in Pete Alonso. In the 8th inning, Tyler Naquin had an RBI single to left to bring in Eduardo Escobar. And then in the 8th inning, Tomas Nido had a sac fly to first to bring in Naquin. And it actually was a sacrifice squeeze, the suicide squeeze. He bunted to bring in Naquin. So, fundamental baseball, that's what you like to see. Drive-in runs, it's run creation. I get it. Nido has been pretty good with runners in scoring position this season, but obviously he isn't the fastest guy. So, a ground ball to Austin Riley is probably going to prevent, Naquin from scoring. So really good, very assertive at third base, and Naquin with his base running, and then Nido to do that. I don't know if that was Nido. I don't know if that was the Mets benching to tell him to do that, but really clever for Nido to do. Definitely very interesting to see. So good to see there. Obviously, Mets had a phenomenal night. Like I said, Max Scherzer gets the W. And getting into Game 5 and the final game of this 5-game series with the Atlanta Braves, the Mets won by a score of 5-2 in yesterday's outing, and probably my favorite game out of all of them. And we had Jacob deGrom come in. The Mets won, like I said, by a score of 5-2, but we had deGrom on the mound, and deGrom did deGrom-like things. 5 2/3 innings pitched, a hit, 2 runs, a walk, 12 strikeouts. He was going into the 6th inning with a perfect game, but gave up a walk and then a 2-run homer. But overall, besides that, had a phenomenal outing. I mean, one of his best outings that we've seen out of Jake. 12 strikeouts, obviously, in 5 innings itself. That's elite. You don't see that much. Everyone in this Braves lineup struck out at least once or twice against Jacob deGrom. I mean, his slider was just deadly. It was going all over the place. The movement on it was insane. His fastball was connecting well. His changeup was looking really well. So overall, to say for the least, really impressive outing to say for the least out of Jacob deGrom. His slider was unhittable. Obviously, deGrom threw plenty of sliders, and hitters swung and missed 18 times on his slider, so 90% whiffs on his sliders. So it's just unhittable practically. So phenomenal outing from deGrom, 76 pitches. Could you have technically let him finish the 6th inning? I get it, 5-2 at the time. You could have, but obviously there was a pitch count, and I think obviously deGrom, regardless if he got Dansby Swanson out, that would have been his last batter anyway, according to Showalter. So good outing from deGrom, very impressive. Following that, another impressive outing from Dolly Rodriguez, who had a phenomenal outing, one of his best outings that we've ever seen out of this dude. He went 2/3 and he went 2 1/3 innings pitched. You really like to see that out of him. with 4 strikeouts, 30 pitches. Definitely needed, obviously. Oh, Jesus Christ. Sayonara. See, we got some bot Mets fans in the chat. Apologies about that. Yeah, Dolly Rodriguez came in 2 1/3 innings pitched, a hit, 4 strikeouts, 30 pitches. Dolly Rodriguez, you talk about a big outing from Rodriguez. This was a big outing from him. Mets really needed a huge outing from this guy, and they got it from him. So really, tip of the cap to Dolly Rodriguez. I know that a lot of people weren't, big on him. They were kind of worried about him, saying, "Oh, do you trust him as the sole lefty in this bullpen?" And he proved it this game. Is he going to prove it in future games? We'll see. But definitely a really good outing. Oh my goodness, definitely a really good outing. To say for the least. I see we are being obliterated by bots in this comment section, so I apologize about that. There's been a huge increase in bots on Instagram. I don't know if on Instagram, on YouTube. So I do apologize if I get off, task for that. I don't know if there's any moderators in the chat, but definitely help me out with that. So yeah, like I said, phenomenal outing there. And then Edwin Diaz came in for relief, struck out the side, an inning, 3 strikeouts. That's a really phenomenal outing, to say from the least, from Edwin Diaz. Struck out the side. Another one of Diaz's nasty appearances. I mean, I say it so many times this season, how elite Edwin Diaz has been this year, and he definitely proved why. So definitely really good to see Edwin Diaz pitch very well. So yeah, that was that. In terms of this offense, Pete Alonso got things started off in the 3rd inning with an RBI double to left to bring in Francisco Lindor and Brandon Nimmo. Later on in the 3rd inning, Mark Canha had an RBI double to deep center to bring in Vogelbach and Alonso. Phenomenal. I think highlighted this game is seeing Vogelbach chug it all the way from first to home. Really good base running there by Vogelbach. You like to see that. And then in the 5th inning, Jeff McNeil scored on a wild pitch. Good at bat and really good job rounding the bases from McNeil. Obviously, he got a base hit, to the right field side, but chucked it out to be a double. Obviously, really aggressive base running from McNeil. Grossman was playing in right field, and he got a little lazy, I guess you could say, on the throw, and McNeil side decided to challenge him with his speed and went to second and was safe. And then he went to third on a sacrifice fly, and then later scored, like I said, on a wild pitch. So fundamental baseball, really good base running by McNeil. That run there definitely was I guess, kind of a cushion for the Mets, to say for the least. Yeah, like I said, Mets win this game by a score of 5-2. DeGrom with his first win on the season, and Edwin Diaz with his 26th save on the season. You like to see that. Mets were able to beat up on Spencer Strider early on. Strider only went 2 2/3 innings. So I know Strider's been very good this year, very dominant. Likely will be Rookie of the Year. But the Mets were able to show him, we're a good offensive hitting team. So really good to see for the least. So that is the New York Mets and the Atlanta Braves series summary. We had some great stuff going on in that series. The New York Mets took 4 out of 5. How can you not like to see that? I think every Met fan wanted that. And I most certainly didn't expect it. I thought we would have got 3 out of 5. But hey, I mean, I'll take it. Really good series, to say for the least. So now let's get into the New York Mets and the Cincinnati Reds series. The series preview. Hold on, give me 1 second, guys. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, guys. I apologize. I just got to pull up the Mets and Reds thing on my phone. Give me 1 second, guys. Please stand by. Here, guys, give me 1 second. All right, I apologize. I just had to get the schedule up. Let me transfer this to my phone. All right, there we go. So let's get started. The New York Mets are playing a three-game series against the Cincinnati Reds. Obviously, the Reds don't have the best of luck up with them this season. They have a record of 44-63 this year, 20-31 on the road. They have not had the best luck. Mets are coming into this series, though, with a record of 70-39, second best, tied with the Yankees, second best in MLB, and then a record of 35-18 at home. So pretty good record at home. You like to see that. Yeah, let's get started. A three-game set. Game one is tonight at 7:10 Eastern Standard Time. We will have Chris Bassitt on the bump for the Mets. Bassitt currently is 8-7 on the season, a 3.61 ERA, a 1.12 WHIP, 122 innings pitched, 121 strikeouts. Bassitt's having a really good season, to say for the least. Long ball is a little annoying. 15 home runs this season in 122 innings pitched. It's not horrible, but I mean, maybe you'd like him to chill out with the long ball and the hard contact. Otherwise, Bassitt is really having a great season. Like I said, if he could mix up his pitches well and keep the ball in the park, expect really good numbers from him and a really good outing, especially against a Reds offense that hasn't had it for them this season. And for the Cincinnati Reds, they will have Justin Dunn, who is a former New York Met prospect, was traded away in the Kelenic trade, and then they sent him away. I couldn't tell you the trade exactly that was, but then they sent him away. So really good to see Justin Dunn play at Citi Field, I guess, but for a different team. Justin Dunn has not pitched since June of 2021. So this will be his first outing back since, and what better at the ballpark of the club that drafted him. So we'll see how he could share tonight. Expect some interesting stuff from him as well. So that is game one. Getting into game two, which is tomorrow's game, obviously. Tuesday's game, also at 7:10 Eastern Standard Time. The New York Mets will have Carlos "Cookie" Carrasco on the bump for the Mets. Carrasco having a great season, 12-4 on the season, 3.82 ERA, a 1.28 WHIP, 117 2/3 innings pitched, 114 strikeouts. Really good numbers from Carrasco for the most part. Like I said, fastball slider combination intact, get out of the first inning cleanly, and expect big things from Carrasco. And then obviously for the Cincinnati Reds, they will have Mike Minor on the bump for them. The southpaw, who has not had the best of luck for him this year, 1-8 on the season, a 6.19 ERA, a 1.57 WHIP. 51 strikeouts, 16 home runs, 25 walks. So he walks plenty of guys, gives up a lot of homers, a lot of hard contact, plenty of barrels. So Mets definitely expect a lot of hard hit balls this game. I know he's a lefty, but it's the lefties like Corbin, the lefties like Rogers, who are really struggling right now with hard contact that you take advantage of. So hopefully Mets will take advantage of Mike Minor. And getting into game three and the final game of this three-game set and the final game of playing against the Reds this season, which will be Wednesday's game, which is a 1:10 start. For the Mets, they will have Taiwan Walker on the bump, who is 9-3 on the season, 3.45 ERA, 1.19 WHIP, 104 1/3 innings pitched, 80 strikeouts. Walker's having a pretty good season for the most part. He's got roughed up in the last 2 of 3 starts, so you hope his last start was just a little hiccup and he'll be fine. This upcoming start, like I said, keep that split finger intact, throw it harder as usual. Splitter slider's been intact for him. So if he could have his stuff there, hopefully he's fine. Hopefully that last outing was just a little bit of a hiccup and he will be dominant and locked and loaded for this Reds team. Let's get into a little bit more with this series. Like I said, couple guys to keep an eye out for the New York Mets. I'm going to go for number one, Pete Alonso. Obviously, this dude has a 6-game hit streak and drove in 9 RBIs in the Braves series in 5 games. This dude is on fire lately, Alonso. He is really having great at-bats. He's walking much more, isn't striking out a whole lot. He's really putting up great bats, fouling off pitches that are going to be in the strike zone if he's in an 0-2 count. Last 7 games, 333 average, 419 OBP, 593 slugging, 9 hits, 2 homers, 9 ribbies, 4 walks in the last 7 games. You like to see that. So Alonso is my first guy to keep an eye out for. Second, I'm going to go Jeff McNeil. You face 2 righties, allegedly. So I think that'll favor McNeil. I don't know how well he'll do against Mike Minor. But McNeil is also having a great last couple weeks. Really digging out of a slump. Last 7 games, he has a 400 average, a 419 OBP, a 633 slugging, 12 hits, a homer, 4 ribbies. So you like to see that in the last 7 games. Hopefully, like I said, choke up on that bat. Be that slap hitter, bat to ball contact, hit it the other way. And he's also hitting it to the right side pretty well, much harder contact, and the defense isn't able to get it. So that's also a good thing there. And then my last and final guy is Francisco Lindor. This dude is on fire lately, definitely proving a lot of Mets fans wrong, including myself. The last 7 games, 417 average, 500 OBP, and a 583 slugging. 10 hits, a homer, 4 ribbies, 5 walks. Yeah, Lindor is on fire. I mean, he's been doing a phenomenal job. So those are my 3 guys to keep an eye out for this series. In terms of starting pitching, I think Walker's going to have a big bounce-back game. I get it. It's against the Reds lineup. You won't be seeing Brandon Drury. Obviously, Tyler Stevenson is not around. He is on the IL. So this is a big game for the Mets, obviously. Like I said, Reds don't have it much this season. I mean, yeah, they just have not, like I said, they're a rebuilding team. They don't really have many guys that you should be scared of. I mean, you got Jonathan India. I'll give him that. I think he is definitely having a little bit of a second half resurgence. We know that India really struggled in the first half. And, I like India. I think he's a great ball player, even though he kills the Mets at times. But you look at this lineup, I mean, you don't have Brandon Drury anymore, so that's a good thing. So we'll see. So that is the New York Mets and the Cincinnati Reds series preview. Let's get into your guys' comments, questions, concerns. If you guys have any, drop it below in the comment section below. What's going on, everyone? Gio, Alex, Derek, good to see a Braves fan. Good game, man. Trey, John, Cal, Alex, Ivy Nose, been doing well. Peter, Marco, Cal, absolutely, man. Very happy to see that. Kobe says, hey, Hayden, what's up? Great series against the Braves. I'm happy they took 4 of 5. Absolutely, man. I mean, I was expecting them to take 3 of 5. And I said, take 3 of 5 and we'll call it a day. But no, they decided to get 4 of 5. And arguably, you could have won all 5 games. If Walker didn't have that unfortunate outing, they could have easily got the 5-game sweep. And I don't know if that's ever really been done by the Mets in the past, or really any team, a 5-game sweep. It's pretty rare. So really good to see for the Mets for the least. Like I said, incredible. I mean, Braves made plenty of errors. You took advantage of it. Fundamental baseball. They hit well. They pitched well. They outmanaged well. They were the better team. Ivan Dos, what's going on? He says, let's turn up the same energy against the Reds. Can't sleep on them. Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't like to underestimate any team because anything can happen. But yeah, hopefully keep up the same energy and continue to do what you're doing in this Red series. They're a team that probably has lesser expectations, so I'm more confident. Alex says, Diaz is elite, 100%. Loving what this dude is offering us. Give him a blank check. Trey says, to think if Walker had a good outing, this series could have been a 5-game sweep. It's crazy how much potential this team has. Yeah, I mean, it's true. I know that's why I mentioned it, because I saw your comment. It's true, man. It really is insane that 5-game sweep. I mean, imagine if the Mets had a 5-game sweep. I mean, you tell me if that's ever happened. If anyone wants to Google that, go for it. I'm sure it has, but I don't think it's ever happened for the Mets, a 5-game sweep, considering there aren't many 5-game series. Usually a series, if it's interleague, it's 2. A normal one is 3. Maybe you'll see a 4, but you never see a 5-game series. So, yeah, it's going to be really interesting for them ahead. Paul, what's going on? Galapos, Connor, Timothy, I'm doing well, guys. Appreciate you tuning in. Derek says, good game. Man, Mets were firing on all cylinders. It's only August, so plenty of more games to go for both teams. October is going to be interesting. Yeah, well, I appreciate you tuning in as a Braves fan. Definitely a pleasure having you here, man, Derek. But yeah, to say for the least, I mean, the Mets played phenomenal baseball this game against the Braves. I mean, they simply took advantage of some errors, some defensive miscues by the Braves, and I mean that's defense wins championships. I mean. People are talking about the playoffs for the Mets a lot. You want to talk about the playoffs, 2015 World Series. Mets could have easily won that World Series if it wasn't for, Daniel Murphy booting a ball and, David Wright not throwing home to first. Could have easily won it. Like I said, defense is important. Defense is vital. Just simple overall. Braves, like I said, they're a strikeout, home run hitting team. that works in the playoffs, not so much in the – that works in the regular season, not so much the playoffs. Yeah, so, we'll see. Definitely plenty of time for the Braves ahead. But you guys got a good team. I mean, Acuna's starting to really look up. If you get Soroka back soon, expect good things from the Tigers. I definitely think they are a playoff team, 100%. Davis, what's going on? Connor says, I really have no words right now. Love this team and am in awe. Just hoping and praying we make it to October healthy and riding this high the rest of the way. Yeah, like I said, I mean, health is going to be the biggest thing, and Mets have been having the best of luck with that for the most part this season. So right now, like I said, we'll see. Mets have plenty of more games to go. They have a pretty favorable schedule. They are simply enough on pace to win 104 games this year. And keep in mind, that's the second best record in their history. So that would be pretty darn cool to witness this year. Cal says, agreed. Glad he made zero excuses for his performance. Can't say the same for Strider. Yeah, I mean, it was a really interesting series on both parts, especially on Twitter. Kobe says the Mets didn't reach 70 wins in 2021 until September 8th. Also, your New York Mets are tied with the Yankees for the second best record in baseball. Yeah, that is true. The Mets and the Yankees have the same exact record of 70-39, which is the second best in all of MLB. So that you really like to see that. Yankees, they've also been having a little bit of a tough go at it since the All-Star break. Bullpen's been a little rough. Clay Holmes really is having a downfall. Unfortunate to see. Not seeing many clutch bats from the Yankees. But in terms of the Mets, yeah, I mean, this is a completely phenomenal team, what this Mets team is doing. And, hey, who knows? Maybe we'll see a Subway Series World Series. Definitely possible. Eric says, hey, and I love the Expos hat. I appreciate you, man. Definitely one of my favorite hats. Cal says Mad Max, for sure, man. Trey says the Vogelback rough moves remind me of Kelly Johnson and Juan Uribe moves in 2015 to a higher degree, of course. Yeah, of course. I mean, I agree with you on that. And even a Cespedes. I guess, yeah, Vogelback and Ruff, I don't think we're on any, caliber of eliteness as Cespedes was. But last year, Mets brought in Baez, and he was phenomenal for them, really trying to wake up this offense. So in 2015, the Mets didn't really have many hitters that were elite hitters. But what did the Mets do? They called up Michael Conforto. They brought in Yoenis Cespedes. They brought in Kelly Johnson. They brought in Juan Uribe. And it really helped wake up the bats of Daniel Murphy, Lucas Duda. And, it really just did the job done there. So hopefully, those moves will be good. I mean, when the trade deadline ended, everyone was going after Billy Epler saying, oh, you didn't go after anyone. This is horrible. You should have went after a top-tier player. But the thing is, Moneyball mentality. Buy wins, don't buy players. Buy the guys that are going to be clutch at those times. Buy the guys that are going to have an 850 to 900 OPS against left-handed pitching. And that'll get the job done there. Don't get me wrong. I think a lot of Mets fans wanted to see a Trey Mancini or a Josh Bell or a guy who has great pop in his at-bat. But Vogelback and Ruff provide that in a DH role. Ruff has an 850 OPS against left-handed pitching. The Mets needed some remedy in their DH hole to hit left-handed pitching because J.D. Davis surely wasn't doing that. And Dom Useless Smith surely wasn't doing that. So, I mean, I'll give a tip of the cap to Billy Epler because I don't think any Mets fan expected that. I mean, I was coming on these streams saying, Billy Epler, like, what the hell are we doing, dog? And he just completely said, oh, I know what I'm doing. So, I mean, tip of the cap to this dude. I mean, maybe, the starting, the bullpen, maybe I think you could make an argument against Billy Epler because if he trusts Dolly Rodriguez to go, then that's a little kind of peculiar because I don't think many Mets fans trust Dolly Rodriguez. But, we'll see. Plenty of time to come ahead. Marco says the Mets bats are on fire. 100%, man. I'm absolutely loving this Mets offense lately. Cabindo says Buck Showalter for NL Manager of the Year all the way. In Buck we trust. Yeah, I think this dude's definitely going to win NL Manager of the Year. I mean, 100%. This dude really came in and just he's so intelligent. Whether it's like I said yesterday, that challenging call, little stuff like that. It went for our way in Miami. Not yesterday, but still. Showalter is an extremely intelligent guy. I mean, I'm surprised that no team decided to really go after him in the past. To say for the least. I really would have thought, maybe there would have been some other team that would have went after him in the past after the Yankees fired Girardi or after the Phillies, got rid of Gabe Kepler or, after the Giants. So yeah, I don't know. Really interesting to see though. Kobe says this Mets offense is on fire right now, hitting with 2 outs, 2 strikes, and runners in scoring position. All hitters 1 through 9 are hitting, and I'm loving it. Yeah, 100%, man. I mean, right now, a little fun fact that I saw on MLB Network this morning is that the New York Mets, obviously, like I said, have won 12 of their last 14 games. But in those 14 games, the offense has an 892 OPS. And I mean, those are just elite numbers right there. So we're seeing that they're hitting for hard contact, extra base hits, they're walking, and they're driving in runs. So little stuff like that is really going to be a big part to the Mets' success for the next couple weeks. Really excited to say for the least. Connor says, how can you not get goosebumps after taking a doubleheader yesterday and now with DeGrom pitching and dominating against the Braves today? I said yesterday. Yeah, I mean, absolutely awesome to see. Cannot disagree with you, Connor. Timothy says, Hayden, will the Mets sweep the Reds in 3 or take 2 or 3 from the Reds? I think a sweep is definitely favorable considering, I mean, the Reds don't even have half the pieces that they had last time we faced them. They got rid of Brandon Drury, who was pretty much their biggest offensive contributor last time we faced them. But yeah, I think a sweep is definitely likable. Worst case, 2 or 3. Trey says, so happy DeGrom is back. DeGrom really looked good. As always, just needs to get him some run support. Yeah, I mean, DeGrom and run support's kind of been the moral of the story for him for the last couple years. I will say in the first half, he definitely was getting the run support needed, though. But yeah, definitely for the future, you would like to see DeGrom get the run support that he needs. I get it. Win-loss records, kind of an irrelevant stat. I mean, it shouldn't really be determined for the Hall of Fame. I think it's a stupid stat. It really doesn't determine much. It's pretty much a stat that determines if your offense could back you up when you're pitching. Because, I mean, you can give up 10 runs and your offense could score 11 and you can get the win. But you could give up 10 runs and your offense could score 2 and you get the L. So, I mean, it's just, I don't know. Win-loss record's really an ambiguous stat, in my opinion. I don't like to go off of it much. I mean, you could definitely, make some arguments for it, but I don't really like to go out, about it. Davis says, I don't get why the Mets and Braves have been very toxic to each other recently. Yeah, I exactly know what you're talking about, man. I'm on Twitter, so I definitely seen a lot of probably what you have seen. Listen, this is what I say. I get it. Mets, Braves, it's really 2 exciting years for them. Both teams are having a great season, really close matchup. Both are fighting for that division spot. I get it. I'm down for, a great, division rivalry, a division matchup. I'm down for that. However, it's one thing if you say Mets suck or Braves suck or boo, but you shouldn't be posting on Twitter, wishing death or harm to a player or, talking about national tragedies happening in New York. You shouldn't be doing that. I mean, that's just being an immature idiot. But like I said, I don't really get it. I mean, I consider myself a really respectable fan. Like we have a Braves fan here, Derek, right here. I'm not going to be saying, get out of here, Derek, you suck. No, because, he's a baseball fan. I get it. We're Mets fans. We're passionate. And same thing for Braves. They're Braves fans. They're passionate. But at the end of the day, we're all baseball fans. And this past January, we weren't even sure if we were going to get a season. So, it's like, just enjoy it. Don't be, so negative and be attacking other fan bases. I mean, what's the point? You're not going to get any, what do you get, satisfaction after, insulting, a player's family member? Like, come on now, like, grow up. But, yeah, I don't know. And it's Twitter, too. People just say anything that's on their mind without thinking. Kobe says, I'm loving the duo of DeGrom and Scherzer are going to be electric in the playoffs. 100%. I mean, us Mets fans have been waiting a while for this DeGrom and Scherzer duo, and we got it, and it's been nice. Derek says Braves had plenty of errors this series too, which didn't help them. Yeah, a lot of unfortunate decision-making, whether it was throwing home to first and it got by d'Arnaud or, bobbling or, hitting the base paths. Yeah, I will admit, Braves had their defensive mishaps and the Mets took advantage of it. Gio says, I love our fan base. So many diehard fans. Yeah, no, I agree with you, Gio. I think Mets fans are definitely very passionate fans. I mean, I'm glad that I'm a Mets fan. I read something and it said, many sports fans choose their favorite team at like 10 years old. And I mean, it's something interesting. I mean, I've been a Met fan for 20 years. Ever since I've been born, I was practically a Met fan. So, really good, passionate, love this fan base. I mean, we have so many great people always dropping stuff in the comments section below, and all over Twitter, YouTube. I mean, there's a ton of great Mets content creators out there. Obviously, the Mets Weekly guys, Wardy NYM, Baseball Hut, Rob, Mets Fans Only, Randy Talks Mets. If I missed anyone, my apologies. But there's so many great Mets content creators out there. Definitely. I really do love our fan base. I really do. I think the Mets have a great fan base. I mean, I'm happy I'm a Mets fan, regardless of how they play, but just how great of a fan base there is. I mean, I don't go to many games at Citi Field because I live in Florida, but when I go to games at Lone Depot, when it's the Mets playing the Marlins there, I mean, so many Mets fans pull up and, act like it's Citi Field with, just awesome times. Really is. So, yeah, no, I agree with you. I really do love our fan base. So many great guys. Sure, Cal says Scherzer and DeGrom, if everything sticks, will be the setup for the Yankees games. Really? Okay, I didn't know that. So that's good to know. That'll definitely be a really high tuned-in game. I would definitely watch that. Trey says Edwin Diaz is 1 strikeout away from his total from last year and 36 away from his total in 2018 when he won Reliever of the Year. Dude is on another level this year. He is. I mean, this dude is just on a Cy Young caliber season. He'll probably get Cy Young votes. He may even get MVP votes. He'll definitely win Reliever of the Year. I mean, Hader kind of had some mishaps. Even if Hader gets it together, I still think the numbers are going to favor Diaz just because Hader had like 3 or 4 really bad starts. But yeah, Diaz, lights out. Peter says, about time Beatty was called up to AAA. I feel like Brett Beatty is going to be like Brandon Nimmo, but an outfielder, maybe even better. Yeah, I definitely think, Beatty, about time he's been called up. I mean, this dude was raking in AA. I mean, a 900, plus OPS, phenomenal stats, was hitting for power, hitting all around. I mean, Beatty, it makes sense why he's called up to AAA now. He'll obviously be with Alvarez. Vientos, that's who I was thinking of. Both of those guys recently just called up. Alvarez was called up, a month or 2 ago, and likewise for Vientos. So good to see those 3 guys raking in Syracuse. It's going to be awesome. Hopefully Beatty could make his debut next season. Whether he'll start at third, at DH, we'll see. Offensively looks great. I mean, hits the ball hard, great hard contact guy, hits the ball to all sides of the field, uses the whole field to hit. Definitely capable of, going opposite field. So he's definitely going to be another guy to keep an eye out for. I think he's ranked like 26th or somewhere in the Mets, somewhere in the MLB farm. Mets, he's the 2nd best prospect. So hopefully he could just keep up and, do what he does best. Brad, what's going on, man? Appreciate you tuning in. Shea Parking Lot, likewise, man. Appreciate you tuning in. Alex says, how do you feel about my Tigers? Yeah, Tigers have, I feel a little bit bad for the Tigers. I really do. They've really been having, they've really been having a rough season, to say it for the least. And, a big thing with the Tigers, though, what I will say is their expectations were really high going into the season. They really were. I mean, this was a team last year that finished, 6-7 games under 500. But in the second half of last year, they finished over 500. And going into, this season, they had high expectations. They had a really nice young pitching staff. A lot of them got hurt. Casey Mize is out. Matt Manning, only pitched in April, and they just got him back. Spencer Turnbull's out. So, I mean, the Tigers, I think, on paper, when fully healthy, can be a good team. The pitching really let them down, obviously, with the injuries. And the offense kind of let them down, too. I think their offense is a little bit more active in the second half than it was in the first half. But, yeah. So, I mean, we'll see. I mean, they got Baez. They got him on that 4-year deal, I think. 80 million or something around those lines, 180 million. So, I mean, like I said, right now, we're just going to have to see how it goes for him. Small ball, love when Vogelback goes first to third. That's hard. Yeah. The fact that this dude, who isn't really a fast guy, just hustles every single, play out. I mean, that's what you like to see. And I mean, I respect that. So Vogelback, I mean, I think seeing him run from first to home was definitely my favorite thing to see for the least. For a historical perspective, Mets have only had a 600 plus winning percentage 4 times in their history. Yeah, Mets are on pace to win 103 games, so we'll see if it sticks. Connor says Marte might be the most meaningful signing this offseason out of all of them. A guy who just is a pure hitter and knows exactly what he is doing. Yeah, no, man, I agree with you for the least. I think right now, I mean, besides the Scherzer signing, he has really been doing a phenomenal job. I've been very impressed with what Marte's doing. I mean, I didn't think this guy would do a whole lot, but he definitely is. He obviously, yeah, he's not stealing as much. I get it, but he automatically goes home on a double from first to home. So you really like to see that. Marte, I mean, 300 average hitter. I didn't expect that. 800 OPS. Okay, I expected that. Besides the walks, I mean, otherwise, he's been doing a really great season. Very impressed from Marte. Gio, what's going on? Appreciate you tuning in, brother. Gio says LFGM, 100%. Third right wing. Does Jake Mcgee have anything left? Should they take a flyer on him? Yeah, let's see how Jake Mcgee has been going. I know that the Giants have been having a little bit of a rough stretch for them this season. Let's see how Jake Mcgee has been for them this season. Oh, no, he's with the Brewers. Yeah. Forgot about that. He was with the Giants. And then he went over to the Brewers, and then they just DFA'd him. Okay. Yeah, he was with San Francisco last year. Right? And then they got rid of him this year or last year? Yeah, they released him in July, right before the All-Star break. Then the Brewers picked him up, and then they DFA'd him. Let's see what Jake Mcgee has got rolling with him. Jake Mcgee. Let's see. Mr. Jake Mcgee. How's he been doing this season for the Reds, for the Brewers, and then the Giants? Let's see. So Jake Mcgee, yeah, he's been getting a little roughed up. 7.17 ERA, 1.55 WHIP, and only 21 innings pitched. 11 strikeouts. Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing with Mcgee, I don't know if it's me, but I feel like he really started to collapse a little bit once he got rid of that sinker. Because he used to have a sinker, and I think he kind of just ditched it, and now he kind of just relies on his fastball slider. And his slider just isn't effective as what it used to be. I mean, his slider used to be a really deadly pitch. I mean, he was striking out plenty of hitters. I mean, he was top 1 in the league in strikeout percentage at times with that slider, but it just hasn't been it for him lately. Kind of like Patrick Corbin. But yeah, I mean, right now we'll have to see. Maybe there's something, you can get out of him. He's a lefty, so maybe that provides a little bit more of a value for a team that needs a lefty. But right now, to say for the least, I maybe a team like the Cubs or a Pirates or a rebuilding type team will go after him, or maybe even a team that's kind of a playoff contention and is just so desperate for a bullpen arm, they go after him. We'll see. Even probably a minor league deal would be likely. Teddy, what's going on? Teddy says Mets would not be where they are without Buck. Honestly, yeah, I think. I think the Mets could still definitely be a good team depending on who their manager was, but I don't think they'd be a 70-win team right now on August 8th without Buck. I do agree with you on that. I mean, Buck Showalter has done phenomenal things with this team. I mean, he is by hands down has to be manager of the year. I mean, I'm just loving what this dude has simply enough done. With this ball club, to say for the least. Sports fan LFGM, 100%. Teddy says, not that this is going to happen to the Mets, but even if they play 500 ball, they win 96 games wild card. Yeah, I mean, right now, like I said, they could go under 500 and would still manage to have a better record than the 2006 Mets. So, I mean, that was a little funny thing. I think Dakota or Dacomo or someone tweeted that out yesterday, and I thought that was pretty funny. So, I mean, like I said, right now, we'll have to see. But the Mets play 500 ball, and I mean, they're still in the playoffs. Obviously, you got to be cognizant, with the Braves. I mean, are they going to cooperate? The Braves could play 500 ball, 530, 600 ball. They can go on a hot stretch. The Phillies, they just swept a 4-game series against the Nationals. I mean, we'll see. Their offense has been hot. I mean, I would like to see it in a bigger series, obviously, but still a really good team in my opinion. Definitely wild card contention, no doubt. So we'll see. Right now, you got 2 teams behind you. Braves are kind of the focus of concern, but 6.5 games back, that's great. At one point they were 10, then they were a half a game back, and now they're 6.5. So obviously with a win tonight for the Mets and a loss tonight for the Braves, 7.5. So got plenty of leg room there. Kobe says, do you think the Mets will put Tyler Mcgill in the bullpen when he returns? So what the deal is, I believe the Mets are going to put him in a bullpen position when he returns. And then for next season, they're going to slowly work him into being a starter. So kind of like I said 1,000 times on this channel, and I'll say it again, like how the Brewers did with Woodruff and Burns. So they're going to do something kind of like that, and I think that's workable. When you transition a guy from the rotation to a bullpen role, you got to be slow with it, and you got to do it in the right times and scenarios. So yeah, we'll see how that works for him. Lane says, I am going to be at the Mets game on Tuesday night. Nice. Hope you have a good time there. Hopefully you do enjoy yourself. Let me know how it is. Hopefully you have a great time once again. Trey says David Peterson has been fantastic all year. He's not a reliever, end of story. Yeah, I think it's going to be a case. If Walker does struggle, it's a possibility that he can be in the rotation. I've always said that I do value a lefty in the starting rotation. But just with the depth, I don't even think it's possible, to be honest with you. Okay, that's interesting. I appreciate the copy and paste, Greg. Davis says, do you think the Mets will win 100 games? Yeah, they're on pace. So I definitely think it's possible. They're on pace to win 100 games. So it's certainly possible. Cal says, thoughts on the San Francisco Giants? Yeah, Giants are just also a really disappointing team. I think I may have said it a couple times in the offseason that I kind of felt like they were kind of a one-year wonder type team. They were, kind of like a one-year wonder type team. But yeah, right now they really just have not had it for them this season, the Giants. Simply enough to say, I think it's hard when you rely on a lot of rentals and a lot of veterans to carry your team. Last year, it was kind of a one-year wonder, I feel. And I like the Giants. I really do. I would like them to be successful, but I don't think they are right now. I think right now, they're a team that's predominantly veterans. You saw it last year. Brandon Belt, Brandon Crawford. How much could you rely on that? Even, your guys like Peterson and, Yastrzemski, who are, prime age, but, 31, 32 still. So, right now, like I said, we'll have to see with the Giants. Yeah, I don't think they're going to be very competitive this year. They're a couple games under 500, so there's always room for them to compete. But I think it's going to be very hard. Like I said, you don't have Kevin Gausman anymore. I think that was a little bit of a blow. The rotation's okay, but the bullpen management has been really hard for them. And Gabe Kepler, kind of the same guy he has been in Philly. Marco says, how many games do you think the Mets will finish with the season? I'd like to say 100. 101 would be nice. Brad says, absolutely loving camaraderie of this team. Yeah, 100%, man. Trey says, a healthy DeGrom added on to Scherzer, Walker, Bassett, Carrasco. This team will be in the World Series. It looks likely. Stoney, what's going on? Stoney says, Hayden, the best Mets YouTuber in the world, and he knows all his stuff. Really nice guy. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, like I said, I just like to come on here, talk baseball with you guys. I get it. At the end of the day, I don't know everything. Let's be real. I think if I was the Mets GM, they would probably be in last place. But I like to come on here, talk my thoughts, voice my opinion as a fan. I'm not a GM. I'm not a know-it-all. There's plenty of things I don't know. I'll admit it. I probably would make this team a last place team if I was the GM. But I don't know about a last place team. But yeah, like I said, right now, just a fan. I like to voice my opinion. And, it's great. We got a ton of great other passionate Mets fans in the chat who definitely knowledgeable. Mets fans definitely know their stuff. They know their history. They know their Mets critical thinking. I don't know if that's the word you want to say. So, yeah, we will see. But I appreciate the kind words, Stoney. Connor says it's always a well-executed approach this season. The team overall has average power, so it was very smart to attempt to to be among the best in MLB at contact hitting. Yeah, good point. And yeah, I mean, like I said, contact hitting, bat to ball contact, high average, it's for success. Lane says, do you see the Mets winning tonight's game by a score of 9-1? I think it's possible. I mean, right now, the Reds pitching has not really been there for them yet. Obviously, Justin Dunn is making his first start back since June of 2021. So it could really be hit or miss. I mean, he could come in and just completely wet the bed, get taken out the first or second inning, or he can go, 6 innings and be Cy Young caliber pitcher. So right now, we'll honestly have to see. I think it's going to be a really exciting outing, to say for the least, tonight. But yeah, we'll see. Are you kidding me? More bots? Come on. This is like a bot stream today. Jeez. All the bots are coming in. Like, come on now. I've noticed there's been a huge increase in bots on YouTube. Cal says, I'm looking forward to the Cubs versus Reds game at Citi Field and Dream. I'm looking forward to the Cubs and Reds game at the Field of Dreams. The uniforms look nice. That sounds better. Yeah, I did see their uniforms. The throwback style uniforms definitely look pretty fresh. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I'm pretty excited to watch those games. I know it's not two great teams. I mean, last year it was Yankees and White Sox, two playoff contending teams. But when they scheduled it, they didn't know they would not be playing well. But yeah, like I said, right now, I mean, we'll see. It's always fun to watch the Field of Dreams. I mean, hopefully the Mets can get it next year. That'd be pretty cool, or even England. No, I read it, man. Stoney says, LOL, Hayden, nah, I wouldn't disagree if you was a GM. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Cal, what's going on, man? Appreciate you tuning in, buddy. Stoney says, some of our Mets fans saying that the team now is the 86 Mets. Do you agree? I mean, yeah, I mean, they've definitely shown – they've definitely shown really good talent. I mean, keep in mind, the 86 Mets won how many games? The 86 Mets won, was it 107 or something like that? 108. Won like somewhere around that. 108. Okay. 54. So right now, I mean, they're 70-39. I mean, they're on pace to be 103, 104 games. So, I mean, I think it's definitely possible. I mean, you have, in my opinion, a much better pitching staff. I mean, a Hall of Famer in DeGrom, a Hall of Famer in Scherzer. I mean, in my opinion, you have a much better pitching staff. I wasn't around in 1986, so I wasn't watching every single Mets game on TV like I do now. So who knows? If there's any 86 Mets fans out there, let me know your thoughts. But I would probably say in terms of pitching, I think they have it now. Offense, clutchness, it's kind of a hit or miss, but I think they're definitely very comparable. Trey says that the MVP this series was Buck. It was a chess game of starting lineups, pitchers, relievers, and base running decisions. Yeah, no, I agree with you, man. Showalter definitely knew what he was doing. It was a big part to this team's success. I agree. Trey says, Buck was on point after watching him outmanage Boone in the Subway Series. This guy is one of key pieces this year. Yeah, I agree. He's been having a phenomenal season as a manager. I mean, he's done things that many Mets managers in the past couldn't have. I mean, the Mets haven't had a veteran, experienced manager since Bobby Valentine. In terms of long term, Bobby Valentine. Kobe says, Francisco Lindor has been playing great lately. Do you think he's starting to show his true talent? Yeah, I mean, Lindor is really showing who he's been. Gap-to-gap hitter, tightening up his swing, got rid of that long swing. And, don't get me wrong, he'll definitely still be chasing at some silly pitches in the dirt, striking out on his knees. But he's been putting up great at-bats lately, getting on base at an elite level. He's walking a lot, so very selective at the plate. You really like to see that. So I think he definitely is. 800 OPS, haven't seen that since May. Marco says, any news on Lucasi returning? I haven't heard much. I think he's been throwing some bullpen. So hopefully he could return September. Really late August, maybe kind of around Mcgill. And you could throw both of those guys in the bullpen to really amp up that bullpen depth. That could really be good for them. Teddy says middle relief is important. Who's out there? Like I said, I mean, it's kind of hard. I mean, briefly mentioned Jake Mcgee, who was recently DFA'd by the Brewers. But, I mean, the Mets just going to go with a quantity over quality approach just because he's a lefty? I don't know. Who knows? Maybe the Mets just go in-house and just wait till, Tyler Mcgill and Lucasi return. And then you obviously put Peterson to the bullpen. So you have 3 new guys in that bullpen. Maybe the Mets take that route. Like I said, I mean, if the Mets could really try and get Seth Lugo back to his 2019 self, if Lugo can simply enough just find the command on his secondary pitches, if Trevor May can keep his fastball meaty and May keep intact, I really think that you can honestly hope for this bullpen success. Right now, I don't trust this bullpen a whole lot, and we saw it. I really don't trust this bullpen. I mean, I get it. You took 4 or 5 from the Braves, but simply enough, we saw how close some of these games came with our bullpen and how busy our bullpen was, how busy Showalter was with the bullpen management. So simply enough, I get it. They're holding down the fort, but there's going to be lineups out there like the Dodgers, like the Padres, like the Yankees, who are not going to, slump it sometimes and be more clutch. So I don't trust Dolly Rodriguez as my sole lefty. Either Peterson's going to have to be in there, or once Lucasi returns. And then, I mean, do you really trust Michael Givens right now? Yeah, he's, 1 for 2 in his outings. So we'll see. You were 3 years old? Okay. Is Mcgill coming back soon? Yeah, I believe he is set to return. I believe he's set to return late August, early September. Bobby Ojeda, the lefty, was a big piece for them in the 86. Also, Mazzilli on the bench got this postseason big hits. Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I mean, let's take a look at this 1986 Mets roster. I mean, I'll tell you, 86 was really magical year. I will say there was a lot of intriguing names that really came in and produced when they were needed to. Wally Backman, also another good guy out there. But let's pull up their roster. Pull up Baseball Almanac, I guess. Wow. And the fact was that George Foster was making the most money that year. That's surprising. Well, also inflation back then, I guess. That's true. Yeah, I mean, simply enough, you look at this roster, Gary Carter, I mean, Hall of Fame caliber catcher, Keith Hernandez at first. I mean, recently had his number retired, a phenomenal defender. I mean, what is there not to love? That dude was athletic, had the speed. Wally Backman, I think he's the manager of the Ducks right now, actually. Ray Knight, very clutch. Rafael Santana, Mookie Wilson, Lenny Dykstra, Dale Strawberry. I mean, you look at this roster and it's filled with talent. I mean, the rotation, like I get it, Ojeda, Sid Fernandez, Dwight Gooden. I mean, Dwight Gooden, I think, was in his second year that year. I believe I think Dwight Gooden, when did he debut? 85? Dwight Gooden, I mean, having a phenomenal rookie campaign. I believe he debuted 85, I want to say. 80, it was in the 80s, I know. 84. Okay. Yeah. I mean, coming off of an all-star caliber year, he was in the Cy Young race that year. I mean, you talk about this 86 team and just absolutely phenomenal. What is the news on Lucasi? Yeah, like I did briefly mention, Lucasi is in a rehab assignment, I believe, almost soon. Yeah, Lucasi, Rodriguez has been surprising, I will say. Teddy says Mets get to play today. Braves get the day off. Your take? I believe they are off, the Braves. Let's see who they play tonight. Braves are off tonight. The Braves will play in Boston tomorrow in a 2-game set. Okay, that works. Had Yankee tears with cereal this morning. Go Cards. Yeah, I will say, man. I mean, the Yankees, they've been having a rough go at it since the All-Star break, to say for the least. Simply enough, their bats haven't been as clutch as they used to be. Bullpen's been very shaky. Frost blew the game for you guys last night, or kind of kicked you guys out of competition at least. Clay Holmes, I don't know what happened with this dude. He had a dominant first half and just has been collapsing ever since the All-Star break, really. So, you're going to need the bullpen to start getting what they've been doing. But yeah, Yankees right now, they've been a little slow. Got swept by the Cardinals. I think they're on a 4 or 5 game losing streak, but still elite team. Mets to the World Series. Do you sign for that, Hayden? 100%, Alvaro. 100%. That is my dream. The New York Mets winning the World Series. That is my definitely my number one goal right now for this team. I didn't expect us to win the Braves series. I was shocked. I thought we were going to take 3 of 5. I didn't expect 4 or 5. I thought 2 of 5 or 3 of 5. My bad. Oh, no, man. Yeah, you could talk any baseball you want. Like I said, we talk Mets, Braves, Phillies, Yankees, Nationals, Blue Jays, any baseball. Yeah, and, it could be about baseball history, baseball questions. I know it says Mets talk. It's really baseball talk. But, yeah, if you guys have anything, Giants, Phillies, anything, drop it below. I know most of my knowledge pertains to the Mets, but, hey, I'm definitely down to talk, non-Mets. We talk all teams in here, 100%, man. Urza says, went to the Mets game. Electric. Yeah, I was going to say, it looked absolutely elite, that outfield. I mean, the stands. Okay, cool. I just saw the title. No, yeah. I know. It says Mets talk, but honestly, it's baseball talk. You have something to say about the team. Yes, I will answer to the best of my ability. Go Giants, Rangers. Interesting. Yeah, 2 teams having an interesting year. Alvaro says, I'll get to see a Pirates game live next week. I can't complain. LOL. Yeah, right now, Pirates have also been having a little bit of a rough go. But, hey, Pirates, they have a couple cool guys to keep an eye out for. Brian Hayes, O'Neill Cruz. They got some young guys in the mix. Obviously, Brian Reynolds, great guy. Yeah, Hayden, look, he has an Expos hat. Yeah, great hat. So we're probably going to call it a stream here, everyone. I really do appreciate everyone for tuning into today's stream. As always, we had a phenomenal stream today. Really do appreciate everyone for tuning in. I think we had a high at one point of 20 active viewers, kind of hovering around 16, 17 for the most part. So I love that. Definitely loving the nonstop support on the channel. It's been phenomenal. Like I said, in today's stream, we went over the New York Mets and the New York Mets and the Atlanta Braves series summary. Then we transitioned into the New York Mets and the Cincinnati Reds series preview. Then we went over all your guys' comments, questions, concerns. Really a mixture of everything in regards to the Mets' recent play, the Mets' recent performance, how great this team's been, a little bit of a dive around the division rivals. We talked about the Giants a little bit, the Tigers. So, yeah, overall, I really do appreciate you guys for tuning in to the stream. As always, really great stuff, as always, to say for the least. We will have a channel update coming soon. I will be uploading a video kind of giving a little channel update. I'll briefly mention it. Things will be a little bit different on the channel going forward. Obviously, I am going back to school next week to Stetson University. Fun fact, if it sounds familiar, the same school that Jacob deGrom attended. So I will be there on campus this year. So in terms of live streams, they may not be as frequent. I'm thinking maybe a little bit more pre-recorded podcast type of things. So we'll see. I don't know. I definitely kind of have to make up my mind, but I'm not going anywhere. I'm still going to be uploading. It may be a little bit more pre-recorded podcast based rather than, live going through the chat base, but we'll see, we'll see how things will be going ahead. So otherwise, I really do appreciate you guys for tuning into today's stream. As always, please, everyone, smash that like button, turn on those post notifications, tell your friends about this channel. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, drop it below. I appreciate you guys, all you guys, for reviewing this on replay. If you guys are rewatching this on replay, kudos to you. Like I said, LFGM got some great stuff for the New York Mets ahead. Really appreciate everyone for tuning in. Till next time, baseball fans, see ya.